and welcome back to The Final Score. I'm your host, Harrington Gardner, alongside Nazim Tremel Wells, Justin Norris, and Roderick McLean. And I hope everyone had a very good and productive summer. And how's it feel to be back, guys?
It was a long summer, long time waiting.
It's good. It's good.
Long overdue.
All right, well, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about the NFL, and we just came from Week 5 heading into Week 6. And there's been a lot of impressive things going on around the AFC and the NFC. But guys, I want to ask you, who's been the most impressive team so far in the AFC and the NFC?
Well, I'll probably go first. It goes without saying, the Chiefs. The Chiefs are total rock stars this year. Pat Mahomes is probably a generational talent, probably one of the best QBs, or having one of the best 2 seasons that we'll probably ever see in our life. I definitely have them in contention for the AFC, and the Patriots, well, time is going to do what time is going to do. For the NFC, QB play is great for me, so I do have the Saints. I have the Saints making it to the NFC. But I think Teddy can hold it. I think he can hold down the fort just long enough for Drew to get back. And for my other team making it to the NFC, I have the Seahawks. The Seahawks have Tyler Lockett and also DK Metcalf playing out of their mind, 2 young receivers, paired with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson he's doing what Russell Wilson does, but back in the day, yeah, he's a bad man again this year.
I agree.
I agree too, especially with the AFC. You have the Chiefs and the Patriots, but I did not see this coming. I don't know about y'all. The Buffalo Bills are 4-1.
I did not expect that.
4-1, and that defense is legit. And for the NFC, of course, I'm going to go with the Saints, with Teddy Bridgewater, and believe it or not, the Packers. Aaron Rodgers finally got a defense. You know, the last time he had a defense, they won the Super Bowl. So those are my teams.
Yeah, my teams are a combination of both of you guys. You know, in the AFC, the Patriots and the Chiefs are a cut above everyone else. You know, Tom Brady and Pat Mahomes, they're just on a different level right now. And then in the NFC, I have the Seahawks because Russell Wilson is my MVP right now. And then I have the Saints because of how they're playing without Drew Brees. And then when he takes over, they'll be better. And then I also have the Packers as well because this year Aaron Rodgers isn't even doing that much. It's their defense. But then, you know, in the playoffs, you know Aaron Rodgers is going to raise his game a level. So they're going to be dangerous come postseason time too.
And you know when Drew comes back, it's going to be scary for the rest of the league.
It's impressive that they're doing all that without Drew Brees. And the Saints are really one of my most impressive teams in the NFC so far. Also, along with the Seahawks. But I still have some faith in the LA Rams. I trust what Sean McVay and Jared Goff are doing. Todd Gurley, I need to see more out of him. I need to see
he needs to get healthy.
Yeah, I need to see him go back to the Todd Gurley of old. But I still trust in Aaron Donald, who's up there, always wreaking havoc up front. They got Eric Weddle in the secondary, and maybe he'll provide some help with Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters back there. So I'm not going to call on the Rams, but the team that nobody's talking about is the San Francisco 49ers. They put a beat down on the Cleveland Browns on Monday night.
It's the Browns.
I've been telling people the Browns are not that impressive.
So then how you going?
They're not that impressive. I don't think
they're that
impressive.
But you talking about the 49ers, they beat the Browns.
But still, the
49ers,
I like what they have in terms of personnel offensively and defensively. Sure. They don't have to have a lot of stars to be that type of team where they can go out and compete against anybody. I like the 2 running backs that they have, Jarrett McKinnon and Tevin Coleman. And then Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, is good enough for Kyle Shanahan's offense. And their defense is very underrated. Richard Sherman, Nick Bosa, and Dee Ford up front. So the 49ers are a very good team. But in the AFC, the Patriots and Chiefs are they're a tier above everybody else. But some other teams that I like are Buffalo, the Houston Texans and the Ravens.
Of course.
There we go. I was waiting for it.
I'm really impressed with Buffalo's defense. I really do think that Josh Allen is good enough for Sean McDermott's team. And, with the Houston Texans, I think if they can protect Deshaun Watson, Larry Tunsil. Yeah, that is a big if, but Larry Tunsil, one of their tackles, is definitely going to help them in terms of pass protection. And, the Baltimore Ravens, not the same Ravens defense we've been seeing. Earl Thomas, he can't do everything for this defense. He hasn't been playing bad this season, but we need to see a little bit more from their secondary. Their linebackers are struggling in coverage. And their defensive line, we need to see Brandon Williams and Michael Pierce step up and run defense. And then the offense, It's going to go as far as Lamar Jackson can take them. We know they can run the ball.
Not that far.
All right now. All right now. It's going to go as far as they can take them. I think they'll go pretty far if John Harbaugh and Greg Roman can maintain, if they can have the same formula going forward, which is running the football and just open up high percentage throws through play action and RPO. But I'm not going to quit on the Ravens. I think that those teams
How he even get here?
in the AFC.
That wasn't even one of his teams.
They were one of my teams. But
I mean, I didn't want to be unbiased or anything, but like, nobody wanted to mention the Eagles. They had just hurt. That's it.
I mean, the Eagles aren't that bad of a team. They just came off of a win against the Jets. They did beat Green Bay a few weeks ago. The Jets are a little sorry, but they had an impressive win against Green Bay. They're stopping the run. Carson Wentz was making some big plays, and we'll just have to see what happens down the line. You guys, I want to see how you guys do against Minnesota, but also we want to see if you guys can beat Dallas as well.
We'll go on to the next topic.
All right, so going into the next topic, we want to talk about some quarterbacks that have impressed you guys. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson are doing well, but there's some guys that are under the radar that not a lot of people are talking about, and I want to get your thoughts on some of the quarterbacks that you guys are impressed with.
Well, like you said, Harrington, there's a lot of quarterbacks balling out and playing lights out, but I'm sticking with Russell Wilson. He's completing 73% of his passes, 12 touchdowns, and 0 picks. He also has a QBR of 126, and for those who don't know, QBR, it measures the throwings of the quarterbacks and how that contributes to winning situations, and that's the highest in the league.
You can't argue with that.
For me, it would be, my surprise quarterback are Jacoby Brissett and Teddy Bridgewater. They're both playing very well right now, and I personally didn't see it coming. When Drew Brees got hurt, I kind of thought the Saints season was over. I'm not going to really talk, but I thought their season was over. I really thought the Falcons would really move in on the NFC South and kind of make some noise in that division.
What?
But hey.
That boy Matty Ice throwing straight picks.
Hey, we're not going to talk about that. And then going back to Jacoby Brissett, he's doing a good job down there in Indy, and the Colts are playing out of their mind right now.
Time out. You said you thought the Falcons was going to win the division?
I thought when Drew Brees got hurt, they would win the division.
You thought it was sweet in the dome?
All right. Can we move on?
I mean,
I can't believe you.
I mean, Justin stole a little bit of my thunder, but I was going to say Jacoby Brissett also. Jacoby is, he has a QBR of 94.9. It's not as spectacular as maybe Russ or maybe Pat Mahomes, but he has thrown 10 touchdowns this season, and he's winning the Colts games. I mean, this was a guy who walked into the season thinking that he was going to be the number 2 throughout the whole season. Andrew Luck is being Andrew Luck. I mean, yes, he's very injury prone, but at the same time, I don't think anybody just thought that their starting quarterback was going to just retire right before the season started. So for Jacoby to actually take over this team and actually make this team over 500 and the whole team morale is up, I mean, it takes a lot. It surprised me throughout this season.
Definitely.
Yeah, as far as the MVP goes for the season, I'm leaning either on the side of Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, like Roderick said, has been absolutely phenomenal.
Wait, hold on. Wait, no, Pat Mahomes not the MVP?
I like Pat Mahomes, but
it's a two-man race for me right now.
It really is a two-man race for the MVP right now. I think Russell Wilson is doing a lot, and he doesn't really have an offense that is as explosive as Kansas City. In Kansas City, Pat Mahomes has Tyreek Hill, he has Travis Kelce, he's got LaShawn McCoy, he's got McCole Hardman, he has all these different guys. But I mean, yeah, they don't have that good of a run defense. Their secondary's got some issues, but Russell Wilson does this year in and year out. He produces, he puts up great numbers, and he doesn't even have the talent that Pat Mahomes has.
I'm sorry. Did you just agree with me for once?
I mean, I agree. I think Russell Wilson,
he's gotta make sure.
His QBR,
Pull out the
his
confetti.
passer rating, it speaks for itself. The stats speak for itself. I really think that he's doing just a phenomenal job. And I'm not just ready to jump on the Pat Mahomes bandwagon. Although last year
I am.
I mean, he had a good year last year. I mean, he threw 50 passing TDs, but this year
2K almost.
The thing is, his numbers are on pace to be better than they were last year. Like, he's improving from that.
That's fine.
Crazy.
That's fine, but it's like you have to acknowledge all the other quarterbacks in the league, and Russell Wilson is playing just as good as Pat Mahomes.
And he does
Not to
have
say that
nice
Patrick
weapons,
Mahomes
too.
isn't impressive.
I agree with him.
Not to say that Patrick Mahomes isn't impressive. We're just saying like Russell Wilson, his work needs to be acknowledged.
Definitely, for
And then
sure.
as far as quarterbacks that haven't really or have exceeded expectations, Teddy Bridgewater, you know, he's been really
Outstanding.
exciting.
All
He's
right.
been good. He's been good enough for Sean Payton and the offense. Jacoby Brissett has been good. Jacoby Brissett has been good for the offense too, and the Colts. They came off of a really impressive win this past Sunday night against the Chiefs. But I feel like not enough people are talking about the improvement and the growth of Lamar Jackson.
Oh my gosh.
The improvement and the growth of Lamar Jackson. This whole summer, we were talking about how
I mean, this is crazy.
we had questions of whether he can throw the ball or not down the field. Right?
Right.
We saw what happened the first game against Miami Dolphins. He had 5 passing TDs.
he did last game?
He completed 85% of his throws.
That's what
The second game he played against.
You talking about the teams
You talking about
that
the
was
worst
no
team in the
competition,
NFL.
bro?
Right, but here's the problem. Everyone wants to talk about the teams where
gosh.
there's no competition.
You
But
played the Dolphins.
The Dolphins are the worst team
okay,
in football.
the Dolphins aren't that good of a team, right? And his numbers, a lot of his numbers are good because of that game. I will give you that. But here's what you got to look at. You look at the film, you look at the throws that he's making. Some of the throws that you have to honestly sit
it's
and
the Dolphins.
Where were those against the Browns? Where were those throws?
some of those throws that he was making some pretty good throws against the Browns.
Time
He
out,
did have
time
an
out.
error.
Because didn't he say the Browns weren't
Was
good?
weak, right?
And then they
About to
lose.
get
Then they
into
lose to the
He
Browns.
did- all right, but here's the
Going
problem.
You
against
just
yourself,
said
man.
that's what I'm saying.
Here's the problem, though. Against the Browns, you have to take a look at the fact that Lamar Jackson can only do so much. The defense against the Browns gave up, a total, pretty much 500 yards against the Browns offense. Against an offense that didn't have a good enough offensive line. And they were such a good running team in that particular game because one of the stars.
That's supposed to be the strength of the Ravens. They're supposed to run the ball. They're supposed to be able to run the ball well and
play action.
and control the clock.
Well, they were running the ball well. They were doing all that in the game. But defensively,
Lamar
you can
just can't
only
throw the ball.
ask so much. All right, you can only ask so much of your offense if your defense
I
can't
just
make
know the
stops.
2 times he played real competition, they lost. That's all I know.
All right. Well, Kansas City is a pretty good team. There are a lot of teams that are going to lose to Kansas City.
All right.
A lot.
A lot of teams lose to the Browns now.
Not the Colts.
Not really, but if you lose one of your best defensive tackles that's in charge of stopping the run and holding those run gaps, then yeah, Nick Chubb is going to run for a lot of yards. And
that
you
he
can't
did.
just blame that all on Lamar Jackson. I mean, you can say that he's beaten up on some
He's
pretty
still the
bad
quarterback.
teams.
I mean, he's the most important player on the team. They go as he goes.
Yeah,
So-
but all I'm saying is you can't just look at all the different times that Lamar Jackson's played bad teams and say, oh, that's only when he's played good. He's improved as a passer. He's done all the necessary things throughout the offseason to make sure that he excels, and I think that this team will go far with him.
I'm gonna let you get this one.
Yeah, I'm
man.
about to say y'all
got it.
done ruffled the Raven flock.
All right, you guys. We want to thank you so much for watching this episode of The Final Score. Until next time, we want to thank you guys, and make sure you guys subscribe and leave a comment below. Have a nice one.